All right, welcome to my daily review. Before I get started, I must say it was kind of a tough day today after learning of the passing of William O'Neill, and my condolences to Mr. O'Neill and his family and his friends, and some friends that I have are, hurting and mourning his loss. So my thoughts are with them today. So it was kind of a tough day for me. Just didn't feel real motivated today. Some days are like that, and anyway, you're looking at a daily chart of NVIDIA, and we gauge the health of the markets by how our leaders perform. And it's been a tough market, a stock picker's market. There's been more, declining stocks and advancing stocks. But if you've been in the right stocks, you're doing well. If you're in the wrong stocks, which is pretty easy to do, then you're probably suffering some pain. Anyway, this is NVIDIA, the most talked about stock in the market right now. You can see before earnings last week, it pulled back to its 10 EMA and gapped higher on Thursday after reporting earnings Wednesday night. So Thursday was up 24%, then had an inside day on Friday, an inside day of nearly 10%, then gapped higher today. But if you look at the action, if we dig a little deeper into the action on a 5-minute chart, you can see the gap higher and then just the fade all day long, which a lot of the semiconductor stocks did that. They're getting a little tired. Still a nice little gap here from 390 that needs to be filled here. So anyway, AMD, it's a similar action. You can see this one actually had a loss today, gapped higher at the open, and then just faded immediately. And then, it needs to pull back a little bit. So it's down, a little more than 1%, big deal. This thing's still at 125. It broke out from like 88 not too long ago. So, a rest is good. I used to call it back in and filling. So, let it back in and fill. This is a AVGO Broadcom. I just wanted to show this. We had this on our watch list here at 6:30. This thing just ramped with the semiconductor stocks last week. And if you look at the 5-minute chart, it went from 921 to 801, 800 there. Yeah, so 120 point drop during this session today. So yeah, they need a rest. But this is why I always say those morning gaps I'm skeptical of them, especially on a Monday morning or a Tuesday after a 3-day weekend, when the retail folks come in all bulled up buying stocks, and then the pros just sell them, and they call it a rug pull or whatever. But this is predictable behavior. MRVL, especially after these big runs, MRVL had a big day on Friday, and it just gave some back today. You can see the gap up at the open and just immediately sold off. You can see that big day on Friday, but still it's holding its gains, and MRVL looks good. Just let it rest a little bit. Here's Rambus, another one. Semiconductor fabless stock has been on a tear, on a roll. And today, gapped at the open and just sold off almost immediately, and just was selling off all day. So that was the story for the semiconductor plays today, for the most part. Strong open, but they've had a real big, run lately. So they need to chill out. Some of the stocks that, when you sell one stock, it rotates into another section, and we saw some rotation into some of the retail stocks today. This is Elf Beauty. I thought I was going to have a little problem with this 100 level, but maybe it just wants to ramp higher. I want to see it ramp higher. Today had a nice gain. Again, it had an inside day on Friday. This is an earnings gap higher, an inside day than Friday. It's resuming its uptrend here. With volume, and you can see after hours it's up as well. So I'd like to see this thing, continue to trade higher. And Elf, you could see before earnings, this has been, on a nice trajectory, pulled back to the 50 before earnings. Real strong earnings report. This is what drives stocks higher, is earnings and sales growth, not just the chart. But you can see the 33, 49, 78% accelerating sales growth, and the earnings growth as well, triple digit earnings growth. So that one looks good. This is CROX. This is one that I talk about. You probably get tired of me talking about. It just pulled back to its 200, forming a base here. This one looks pretty good, really undervalued stock in my opinion with the, PE of 9. We don't value growth stocks with PEs, but for some reason it gets about a third of the multiple of Deckers, and it just is not getting the multiple that ON and Deckers are getting. But CROX here bouncing off its 200 with some strength here is what you want to see. I would like to see it rally right back through the 50. Which we saw at Deckers. I mentioned Deckers, which is the Hoka and the Uggs shoe brands. And this one had earnings last week. It traded off below the 50. It sliced its 50. Then you can see the last 3 sessions just powering through with volume. And that's what you want to see, how a stock, trades back through a technical moving average with volume, with some power. But this one has a multiple of 24, and CROX was 9. So I think at some point CROX is going to get the benefit of the doubt. The problem with CROX is their debt, I believe, and they revised guidance lower. Which if you do it once, maybe you do it again. So there was some retail stocks doing well. LULU is not doing well though. This one sliced its 50 with volume today. Increased the selling here. You can see this. Looks like it has a date with the 200, and hopefully it'll find support there. There is a gap there at 321, so maybe it'll stop the bleeding there. So Lululemon is just under a little bit of pressure right now. Some of the software names, I'm going to transition to software because some of them are really showing strength there. This is HubSpot, ramped after earnings. This gap here, I believe, was the earnings date. And it just continues to ramp higher. This is a nice consolidation. If you look at the weekly on HubSpot, it's a stage 1 base. We're seeing a lot of this with software, that sold off for, roughly a year and a half, and now they're starting to stabilize and starting to ramp higher. This one certainly is making new highs daily. Palo Alto Networks is another one. Software security, you got to look at the weeklies with these long consolidation period. To me, this one hasn't even broke out yet. But still consolidating within this base here, and eventually, the bigger the base, the higher in space. And I'm thinking that Palo Alto would be moving higher here pretty soon. CrowdStrike, they report earnings tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, May 31st. This one we had on our ready list here at 140, and it's just taken off. We'll see what they have to say at earnings tomorrow. But with Okta and Zscaler and the software names, Palo Alto could get a boost from those reports. DigitalOcean is another one I'm kind of liking. I've got a few of these that look like this. Big sell-off, his IPO, is great. 2021, good year. And then they topped it towards the end of November here in 2021, and it's sold off ever since. And now made a bottom, stabilizing, starting to form a stage 1 base. And I'd like to see this thing break through this 3966 area, and it's consolidating here just above its moving averages. So I'm thinking DigitalOcean could make a move here pretty soon. HashiCorp, another company very similar. They IPO'd at the wrong time. They IPO'd, when was this? December of 21. Yeah, just sold off. Went up to what, 102 in its first couple of weeks, and then just sold off. But now you can see it stabilizing here near a bottom, forming a stage 1 base. It's been up, 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and trading above its moving averages here as it just tries to carve out a stage 1 base. This has earnings. It says June 2nd, but I believe it's June 7th. And so I'm looking for that to trade above 37.31 level. Very similar to DigitalOcean. A couple of stocks that are just going bonkers here. One is AI, anything with AI. This is obviously a short squeeze. I don't know, it's like 25 or 26% short interest in this one. And boy, you could see that a big sell-off, formed the bottom, and then has been ramping higher with massive volume here the last few weeks. So AI, anything with AI, it's definitely a hot theme for sure. SMCI, Supermicro, they're trading pretty much with NVDA here. It's just ramping higher. One of the stronger stocks on the market. It's our number 1 stock at mcstockcharts.com. A couple of other stocks of interest is Builder First Source. This one ramped higher, and then pulled back to its 21, found support, and is doing nothing wrong. Definitely a strong stock. And DUOL, Duolingo, this one's traded below its 50, then ramped higher after earnings, and it's been respecting its moving averages, pulled back to the 21 last week and found support. So once again, doing nothing wrong. Anyway, sad to hear the news of Mr. William O'Neill. My heart goes out to his family and friends, and we never give up.